Good evening, everyone. I was just looking to see who all was here. Some familiar faces. I see some new names and faces. I'm so glad to have everybody here tonight for this case. I'm going to admit, when I work on cases to share with you guys, I have a system, a formula, the way I do it. I get on the Google machine and find all the articles I can from credible news sources. Try to get a timeline of what happened, if there's any resolution to the case, and just systematically work through, make my slideshow, do my presentation, and then just give my thoughts and what I think may have possibly happened or could have happened. You know, I'm by no means an expert. I have no connection to law enforcement, you know, anything with the judicial system or anything like that. I'm just a civilian here trying to share these cases. But with Timmy Dees case, the case we're going to be talking about tonight, all the research I did left me with more questions than answers. And I think that's I think that's the way. And I think I probably, because I spent the last week, I probably spent 2 or 3 days researching articles on the internet. And in the rest of the week, I have been listening to podcasts with interviews with Miss Barbara, who is Timmy D's mother, who is here tonight. I've seen her in chat, and I will get to chat in just a second. So I've been listening to podcasts. I watched a couple of YouTube videos from creators, and I did put the link, I believe, in for most of them. Once again, with interviews with Miss Barbara, because aside from a basic timeline, which is basically, in my opinion, the only confirmed timeline is and you'll understand when we get into the case, for anybody who doesn't know this, the only confirmed timeline for me is the video footage right before, or for the 3 hours before Timmy made his 911 call. Everything after that, all I know is what Miss Barbara has said in her interviews. So that's why I'm so glad that Miss Barbara is here tonight. Miss Barbara, you can feel free to, and I did prepare a slideshow with the basic timeline and information that I could find, and I did put the sources in the description box. But I'm telling you, Miss Barbara, I see your frustration. I can hear your voice in my head now. All those interviews that I've listened to, in the podcast and the YouTube videos that you did interviews with other YouTube creators. God bless you, Miss Barbara. I have so many questions, and I know you do too. I have the same questions that you do, and I've even made I have 2 pages. I don't know if you can see it, it's coming in, 2 pages of just notes that I jotted down about questions and some things that I did learn from. I found a YouTube. They have a YouTube channel and a podcast. They're called the Lawless Files, Lawless Files. I did put the link to the YouTube channel in there. There are two very good videos on their YouTube channel concerning Timmy's case. One is about 5 minutes long, and the other one just gives a basic outline of the case and the questions that, and shame on me, I can't remember the name of the gentleman that does the Lawless Files podcast. And then there's a 45-minute video that I watched that went into some more detail about court documents and some recordings that Miss Barbara had made on her phone when she was trying to deal with some of the law enforcement. And so I encourage you, please go check those out. There was another interview with Miss Barbara that I watched. I believe it was from the Arctic Fox here on YouTube. I think I forgot to put the link in for that one because I watched it very late last night. I was literally up all night watching videos, listening to podcasts. Today I listened to the first two episodes of the Lawless Files podcast episodes that they did on Timmy's case. I haven't got a chance to listen to the third one yet. And I know I'm babbling right now, but like I said, y'all, this case just has me, I'm dumbfounded. I have so many questions. And trying to do double duty here. Let me get to some of your comments. So welcome some people in before we get into it. So tonight is going to be kind of different. I'm going to give you my presentation, little information I have. Like I said, Miss Barbara is here, Timmy's mother. I don't know if Miss Marion will be here, which is Timmy's aunt. But Miss Barbara, I got so many comments already. Any information that I give, if you know it to be wrong or you can add to it, please feel free, jump in the chat and the comments. I will get to Miss Barbara's comments. Anybody that has questions, like I said, I think you guys are going to have as many questions as I have about this case. But so yeah, Miss Barbara, I'm so glad to have Miss Barbara here. Like I said, just God bless you, Miss Barbara. So tonight, I say that it was going to be different in the sense that I'm going to give you the basic information that I could find. I'm going to give you the questions that I have, and then after that, I'm just going to systematically work through comments and see what you guys have to say. Because, like I said, I'm just so dumbfounded with this case and some of the things that were done, or I should say some of the things that either weren't done or haven't been done yet. And once again, Miss Barbara, if you have any updates from the last year or so or whenever, because I think all the podcasts and the videos that I watched with interviews with you are from a couple years ago. So if there are any updates, please do let us know. Once again, my, as Dandy calls it, my swamp signal. I hope my swamp signal's holding out. Let me just welcome some people in right quick. You new, welcome. Says, hello, Southern Gal, new here. Barbara Hall shared your channel with me. Thank you for being here, you new. I'm glad to have you here. Of course, Dandy Linus, one of my wonderful mods and friends, is here. Thank you, Dandy, for being here. Of course, like I said, Miss Barbara Hall is here. Thank you so much, Miss Barbara, for being here. Anybody who didn't hear Timmy Dees, the young man we're going to be talking about tonight, Miss Barbara is Timmy's mother. So welcome, Miss Barbara. I'm so glad you're here. Chris Gideon is here. Thank you so much, Chris, for being here. Always good to see these faces. Marissa from Australia is here. Thank you, Marissa, for being here. Miss Kimberly Lotz is here. So I'm starting with Timmy's case, but this is one of the many cases that I've come to find out have come out of Fredericktown, Missouri. And Miss Kimberly Lotz, I believe, is connected, has connections, I believe, to the Durante Martin case. I'm most likely going to do Durante's case for my case of the week this coming week, next week. That one is, I've looked a little bit into that one too, and so many questions, so many, yeah, so like I said, I'm going to be digging into all these Fredericktown, if you want to call it Fredericktown, Missouri cases and things that are going on there, and just unbelievable. It has blown my mind. So thank you, Miss Kimberly, for being here. Let's see. There's Miss Marion Tate. I don't know if they'll come up. I may have to. I saw Miss Marion Tate. I might have to find it on my phone right there. Miss Marion Tate. Welcome, Miss Marion. Like I said earlier, Miss Marion Tate is Miss Barbara's sister, Timmy's aunt. She says, hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Justice for all. Absolutely, Miss Marion. I'm so glad you're here. God bless you too. Your whole, you, Miss Barbara, the whole family. I just, like I said, I'm just so confounded, and I hope I can do this case justice. Like I said, I'm just bringing awareness to it so people will start asking questions. More people will start asking questions about how this case has been handled. Oh, it's just, and like I said, I have so many, I can't say it enough. I'm usually not almost speechless the way I am tonight. You guys know that I can, sit here and babble forever, but it's just, yes, Miss Kimberly Lotz is Durante Martin's grandmother. Yes, ma'am. That case is, oh, I have so many, so many concerns, questions, just horrified by that case. So, yes, ma'am, that one will be featured. Trying to, my comments on my laptop keep jumping on me here, and it's going in and out. Just want to get everybody welcomed, and then we'll get started. So Miss Marion is here. Chris, oh, Michelle C is here. Thank you, Michelle C. Another one of my wonderful mods is here. Thank you, Michelle, for being here. Farq is here. That is a familiar name, probably from maybe Miss Frankie or Mind of Monsters or both. Thank you, Farq, for being here. Just trying to just work down and just see who's here. At least welcome everybody. Maybe not be able to read everybody out right now or comments right now, but just want to. Oh, Mr. Steve is in the house. True Crime Web says thank you for the awareness brought to the case. Absolutely. Mr. Steve knows I would do anything, anything for him, any case, anything. I mean, he has done so much for me. Mr. Steve is, I almost want to say like a hero, a mentor to me. Just he's taught me so much. He gave me so much support. And actually, I started seeing Mrs. Barbara Hall in True Crime Web chats, and Mr. Steve would mention Timmy Dees and would tell everybody, check, research, read up on the Timmy Dees case. And so that's what I did, and that is how we got here. So thank you, Mr. Steve, for being here. I don't know if you're out on the road. I know you said you were going to be out on the road for a while. But thank you, Mr. Steve, for taking time out to be here for a little bit. Always an honor when Mr. Steve is here. Teresa Bright, I don't know if it's coming up. There it is. Hello, Barb shared your channel with me. Thank you. Welcome, Teresa Bright, and thank you, Miss Barbara, and Chris and everybody else that I have seen sharing my channel and this the link to this live in particular. I saw that it had been shared in a lot of the Facebook groups, missing person and cold case Facebook groups I'm in now. So thank you, everybody who has shared this. Thank you everybody that is here that may have learned about this, about my channel, or at least this live stream from Facebook or anywhere else that you may have seen it. I appreciate it so much. Just trying to make sure I welcome everybody in. Di Diaz is here. Hello, Di. Glad to have you here. She says she's just lurking, interested in this case. Absolutely, you can lurk. You can lurk. I love my lurkers too. You know, I'm most of the time, depending on who's live streaming or chat I'm in and how many people are there, I'll sit back and I'll lurk. So I understand lurkers. So lurkers are welcome. Thank you, lurkers, for being here. Yes, Miss Kimberly, I have started researching it, and I'm going to dig in and do more research this week on a Durante's case, and he will most likely be his case will most likely be my case of the week for next week. Yes, ma'am. I'm going to start making my way through these Fredericktown cases. But I wanted to start with Timmy's case because I'd seen Miss Barbara Hall, and then you, Miss Kimberly, had joined in. And I think Miss Barbara was the one that told me that you were Durante's grandmother. So I, of course, started looking into Durante's case. So yes, ma'am, I'm definitely going to research it and feature it. Most welcome, Miss Marion says, thank you all. Yes, it takes all of us, not just me. It takes creators and communities that watch us, and it takes everybody to bring awareness to these cases. I know we're just 15 minutes in. I'm not too bad. Dave is here. Hello, Dave. Welcome, Dave. Dave has a great channel too. Please check out on the Prowl. Always great to have Dave here. You're here. You're up early, Dave. Dave's a true night owl. So thank you for being here, Dave. Got another new name. We have a Change of Heartland. Welcome, Change of Heartland. Hashtag justice for Durante Martin. Hashtag justice for Timmy Dees. Absolutely. Absolutely. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Just making sure I get everybody welcomed in, at least in the beginning, and then I'll get started. And yes, absolutely. Dandy says, deepest condolences to those who are here seeking answers for your loved ones. Absolutely. Well said, Dandy. Thank you. Dandy is a wonderful person. I may have started repeating myself. Teresa Bright, I can't remember if I've welcomed you already, but welcome if I haven't. Teresa Bright, I hope there's a picture on the screen. There we go. Says, we mothers appreciate your help with getting justice for all. Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. Like I said, I have no official expertise in anything. I guess I don't know if I would call it an expertise, but what I like to contribute is helping bring awareness to these cases. So, I've been told that bringing awareness to cases is just important as anything else that can be done, boots on the ground like Mr. Steve and his team does. And so I'm doing my best to bring awareness to these cases to the best of my ability. So thank you very much. Once again, all right, so we will see if I can get back into my trying to get back my StreamYard on my laptop keeps going in and out on me. But anyway. Apologize for leaning into the screen, but I'm doing this on my phone. And the last comment I had up there that take it down so we can see. Okay. All right, we will get started before we get into Timmy's case, we have always feature current missing persons, and tonight I have two, actually three in all, but two of them are disappeared with each other. So the first one is Jamisha Martin. She is just 14 years old. She apparently ran away from her home in Pine Bluff early on the morning of March 20th. She has not returned home since running away. Very little information in this case. This information I found, as you can see, comes from the Arkansas Justice Project. So anyone with information on the location, possible location, circumstances surrounding her disappearance or running away is urged to call a dispatch, and I'm assuming it's at Pine Bluff Police Department at 870-541-5300. And next we have, like I said, this is, and I'm gonna have to make this bigger. I'm glad I remember to download my slideshow to my computer so I can read this very small. I would not be able to read it off my phone. So on the left there, you see Caleb Hamilton. He is 16 years old, white male, brown hair, blue eyes, 5'7", 150 pounds. He is missing from Texarkana since March 13th, and it says, make it a little bit smaller. And there is a bolo for Caleb Hamilton. It says Hamilton's parents, Rodney and Scarlett, stated that their son ran away on foot sometime between 800 hours and 1100 hours. Which, 800 hours, I believe, is 8 in the morning, if I remember my military time correctly. They stated that they caught him trying to sneak out earlier that morning, so they took his phone and grounded him. When they woke up at 11, I'm assuming 11 a.m., he was gone. Said that he has snuck out before and went to 114 Crumpton Drive on Texas side. So in Texas and the Texas side of Texarkana, and he also frequents an unknown apartment at the Links. So if you have any information about Caleb, please contact Detective Phillips at 903-798-3154. And if you see there on the right is Freddie Cooper Jr., and apparently from what I gather, they think that Caleb and Freddie may be together. So Freddie is 16-year-old, a black male, brown hair, brown eyes, 6 foot, 120 to 150 pounds. Also missing since March 13th from Texarkana. It says Cooper's foster parents stated that Cooper did not come home on March 13th. Officers attempted to locate him at Carver Courts, where he hangs out with Destiny Henderson or Henson. Henson stated that Freddie left her house on Thursday walking towards Pinehurst. There they spoke with Latoya Williams. She stated that she had not seen Freddie since Wednesday afternoon after basketball. So if you have any information on Freddie's whereabouts, if you have seen him, heard anything about his possible whereabouts, also call Detective Phillips at 903-798-3154. So those are our missing persons for the night. So let me see if my seeing if my slides will come up on my computer. So I'm gonna have to make a all right. Hold on. I promise, guys, technical difficulties. What I always say, it could turn into a dumpster fire at any moment. There we go. All right, so like I said, we are talking about the case of Timmy Dees from Fredericktown, Missouri, 2022. Like I said, going into this, I did not know what I was getting myself into. I'm glad I did, obviously, but I've come out with more questions than answers, or theories as to what I think. I have my, like I said, I definitely have questions. I have ideas, but I'm just going to give you the information that I've come across. I will give you the questions I have that concern me the most about this case. And so, any of you, while I'm doing the presentation, put your questions, comments in the chat. Miss Barbara, like I said earlier, if there's any information they give that you know to be wrong or inaccurate or that you can add to, please don't hesitate to say, hey, that's not right. This is what happened. This is what I know. Any information that you know that I don't include, please include it in the chat, whatever you feel comfortable putting in there. All the videos and interviews I've listened to, I know you're not afraid to speak up, Miss Barbara. So God bless you. And so we will get started. So this is Timmy Dees, or Timmy Dees. The last time that he was known to be seen is around February 27th, February 28th of 2022. Says he was last seen at the end of February near County Road 277 off 72 in Madison County, Missouri. A 911 call was made from Timmy's phone near the area that he went missing on February 28th. And I believe it was on the early morning hours, and we'll get to it, of February 28th is when he was captured with a man named Caleb. I'm just going to give first name. There are going to be three other main persons that we're going to talk about besides Timmy. The three of the persons that evidently were known to be allegedly the last people, and I have to say allegedly, just for YouTube reasons, allegedly the last people to see Timmy alive. I'm just going to give first names because none of them have ever been charged with anything regarding Timmy's case. That does not mean that I don't have questions and my own theories, but just for like I said, YouTube, but policy purposes, we're going to be talking about Caleb. We're going to be talking about a little about a gentleman, not a gentleman, a person named Trevor, and a person named Mike or Michael. And Miss Barbara, anybody who knows this case, I know Miss Barbara definitely knows who these three individuals are that I'm talking about. So we're just going to go with first names. As far as anybody else, I know that in a lot of the interviews and the podcasts, the interviews that I've listened to with Miss Barbara, there are other people who are allegedly there or who possibly allegedly know things, know what happened or could have happened. I don't know all those names, so I'm just going to stick with the three people I named that were allegedly the last ones to been known to be seen Timmy before he disappeared. So a 911 call was made from Timmy's phone on I believe it was 4:40 a.m. on February 28th. And the first, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the first information that was released about this 911 call that was made by Timmy, because apparently when Timmy made this 911 call, for some reason, I don't know if it was Madison County 911, and like I said, Miss Barb would know better. I've got Madison County, I've got Jefferson County, and I've got Fredericktown. I think maybe Madison County, because I think where he disappeared from was in Madison County, Missouri. I'm assuming the 911 call came into Madison County, but at any rate, apparently the night that, or the early morning that Timmy's 911 call came in, it was not recorded. Now, apparently there were several, Miss Barbara, and I've read in interview or articles, there were several different reasons why the 911 call wasn't reported. First, it was something that got struck by lightning. Um, then it was down for some other reason. They didn't have funding. But at any rate, the call wasn't reported. The first information that was given, as far as what was said during the 911 call, was supposedly Timmy had said somebody was chasing him. Now, when we get into some documents or screenshots of documents that I took actually when I was watching the Lawless Files videos that they did on YouTube, I did take some screenshots of some documents that he had and some screenshots of surveillance footage of Timmy at the last time Timmy was saw on surveillance footage for sure. So we will get into the 911 call again a bit later, because when the official papers came out, documents came out, there was some different wording. So a little background on Timmy. He grew up in southeast Missouri, which was not far from Fredericktown, a city of 4,000, which is about 90 minutes south of St. Louis. He turned 18. He wanted to work. There were very few opportunities, so he moved to St. Louis, or the St. Louis suburb, and I hope I pronounced this right, of Creve Coeur. Over the course of 8 years, he became a rigger for concerts, setting up stages and lighting and things like that for concerts. Music was his passion. I can definitely relate to that. Music is one of my passions. And after becoming part of the Stagehands Union, it looked like he'd be able to make a living working in live event production. Very good job. I know for anybody who's passionate about music, being a stage, helping setting up stage and lighting would be a dream job. He was about to buy a house. He wanted to become a family man. He was doing very well. On June 19th of 2021, Timmy's older brother Michael had passed away. Of course, the whole family obviously grieved. I will not go into too much detail. Now, if Miss Barbara wants to call me, she can feel free to, but I did not want to put anything out there that she might not be comfortable with. But Michael had some, just like we all do, had some rough patches and things that happened. So this makes me feel even more bad, or just my heart goes out to Miss Barbara so much, for losing. She basically lost, I believe, both of her sons within an 8-month period, less than a year. So, and I just love this about the tattoo. So after Michael passed away, Timmy got a tattoo of a pizza roll and ranch dressing bottle on his calf. I'm a big ranch dressing fan. I will put ranch dressing on any kind of food that you can put ranch dressing on. So I just love that. He put it, did the tattoo as a tribute to his brother. It was his brother's favorite food. And he said that, Timmy said that if he ever had a son, he would name him Michael. So apparently, from what Miss Barbara said, Michael and Timmy were very close, as most siblings are. Of course, all siblings have their differences at, sometime or another. But I have 2 younger brothers I'm very close to, so I can understand the closeness. And if I ever lost one of my brothers, I don't know how I would react. I would, I always say that we always say we know how we would react, but until it happens to us, we can't, totally say we know how we're going to react. But at any rate, after Michael's passing, obviously Timmy, Miss Barbara says Timmy was very upset. He told her that he wished he'd stepped in and done more to help his brother, but there was nothing he could have done. Absolutely. When you have a family member that passes unexpectedly, that has had dealt with issues, You try to do, you do everything you can, and sometimes you do all you can, and that's all you can do, if that makes sense. I lost a cousin to self-harm, and all of us cousins, and he had one brother, we still beat ourselves up and say, what could we have done to prevent, what did we not see, what could we have done? And the truth is, there's nothing we could have done. um, we talked to him. um, there's only so much you can do. So I understand how Timmy felt, but it's like Miss Barbara said, sometimes there was just nothing you can do. Um, Unfortunately, some things are just inevitable. I don't know if inevitable is the right word to use, but you can only do so much. But. So in February, one of Timmy's friends from Fredericktown, who I believe is Caleb, one of the gentlemen that I mentioned earlier, a childhood friend of Timmy's, offered to pick Timmy up and take him back to his old stomping grounds of Fredericktown, Missouri for the weekend. Says Timmy was eager for a change of scenery. He'd been really down, like I said earlier, about his brother's passing. So he wanted to, we've all done this, we have things that are bothering us or things that have happened, and we just want to, you know, take a trip, or, a road trip, a trip, or just something to get away from it for a little bit, or, change of scenery. So I totally understand the reasoning behind this trip. He mentioned the planned trip to Miss Hall, to Miss Barbara, during one of their almost daily phone calls. They talk to each other every day. And on Friday, February 25th, Timmy and his friend, who I believe is Caleb, drove down to Fredericktown. So this is when we start getting into, let me make sure I have this article up. So they left on, I believe, a Friday, instead of Friday, to go to Fredericktown. So when Timmy didn't call Miss Barbara over the weekend, she took note. She wasn't very worried at this time. It says he was out with his friends, understood. Young people hang out. They don't always think about, calling their parents 24/7. She began getting nervous on Monday when she still didn't hear from him. So Friday is when they left. She went all through the weekend, didn't hear from him. And I do have an article, I believe, that I'm going to read from, some statements that Miss Barbara made regarding leading up to her eventually going to Fredericktown to look for Timmy. Oh, hold on. Okay, let me bring this article up. So this is from the riverfronttimes.com website. And let me get down to the part I want to read from. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so over the weekend, Miss Barbara said she didn't think a whole lot about it, wasn't too worried. But beginning Monday, when she still hasn't heard from him over 3 days now, she really started to get worried. She says she called Timmy's phone but couldn't leave a message because he didn't have his voicemail set up. She said that was nothing new, apparently, but suddenly her text messages also weren't going through either. She says by Tuesday, she felt physically sick. I can only imagine, Miss Barbara. She says, quote, something felt bad, something felt wrong. And on Wednesday, March 2nd, she reported Timmy missing. Now, this is where some of the concern that I have, and also frustration that Miss Barbara has had, is apparently the town that they lived in was in Jefferson County, and so that is where she reported Timmy missing from. But Fredericktown is apparently in Madison County, so there was a mix-up, or nobody, neither Jefferson County or Madison County, wanted to basically, from what I understand, neither one of them wanted to take the missing persons report or whatever the case was. Like I said, Miss Barbara can probably explain it a lot better. And the links, like I said, please check out the links in the description box for the YouTube channel and the podcasts that I was talking about earlier. Please check those out. They will give you a lot of information. So the information about Timmy's A Weekend in Fredericktown is very hazy, to say the least. And so a few days after Miss Barbara reported Timmy missing, she got a call from the friend Caleb, who had taken who Timmy had gone to Fredericktown with. So, and we will get into Caleb. Apparently, Caleb had been arrested on a warrant that was unrelated to Timmy's disappearance. And at some point, Caleb called Miss Barbara over the jail's video conferencing system. Miss Barbara did record the call. I have listened to, I can't remember where I listened to it at. I have listened to the call and the video of it, watched the video of it. And in this call, Caleb says, quote, "I'm going to do everything I can to look for him. I'm worried, Barb. I love you. I love him. I don't want you to think I do anything to hurt him." Now, Miss Barbara has stated, and I agree too, why would he say something about, "I don't want you to think I do anything to hurt him"? People are different in how they react. I understand that, and what is said and what people say. But to me, that, a little concerning for me. This call had been made in the early days after Timmy disappeared. So like Miss Barbara says, quote, "Why would he say he'd never hurt him? What did he mean by that?" That is also what was my question, is my question. One of many questions that I have. So surveillance video, and I think we're going to go back to the slides now. Surveillance video, along with the police and the phone records, paint a partial picture, and this comes from the same article that I was reading from. Paints a partial picture of the hours leading up to the last time that Timmy was seen. So around 1 a.m. on the morning of Monday, February 28th, Timmy was seen on security camera footage at a gas station in Fredericktown. I believe that gas station is called the C Barn, like C-Barn, B-A-R-N. It says Timmy withdrew about $160 out of the ATM machine at around 1:30 a.m. He played some video slot machines. And according to Fredericktown Police Chief Eric Hovis, he confirmed that the surveillance video saying that Timmy was positively identified. And I do have a couple of screenshots from that surveillance video. So according to Chief Hovis, he said that Timmy was positively identified on the surveillance on it, and that he, quote, looked, quote, happy, healthy, and alive. So this is the first screenshot I took. You can see circled outside there, that is Timmy on the outside, fixing to come into the C-Barn, the gas station. And I think, if I remember correctly, the person you see there on the inside looking out is maybe Caleb. Now, Miss Barbara could answer that better than I can, but I think when I watched the Lawless Files video on this, that may be Caleb. Now, I'm not 100% sure, so please, Miss Barbara or Miss Marion, whoever is more familiar with this case than I am, or these details, please correct me if I'm wrong. This is another one. They said he was playing the slot machine. So see, they're kind of in the middle, upper middle there. I have it circled. That is Timmy playing some slot machines. So that was around 1:28, 1:30 a.m. So 3 hours later, at 4:40 a.m., someone, Timmy, in my opinion, because, conveniently the 911 call was not recorded. It says someone made a 911 call from Timmy's phone. The call went to the Madison County Sheriff's Department dispatch, but was not recorded. According to the dispatcher, a frantic voice on the other end said, quote, "Someone is chasing me." But since the call was not recorded, no one knows for sure if the voice belonged to Timmy or someone else was calling from his phone. In my opinion, it was Timmy. I mean, obviously, I don't know for sure. I wasn't there, but we will find out. So keep in mind that the dispatcher, there's no recording. And at first, what was put out was all that was said was, quote, "Someone is chasing me." So keep that in mind. So one of the dispatchers, Kyle Rogers, was explaining why the 911 call was not recorded. So this dispatcher says, back in December of that year, our 911 recorder went down. It took us about 4 months to get a new one replaced. I ordered it in January. It got installed in the middle of March. Like I said, there are, according to Miss Barbara and what I've read, there are several different reasons that have been given as to exactly why the 911 part of the recording, the part that records the phone calls, was down. Another question that I have. So after the call, Miss Barbara says that deputies with the sheriff's department responded to a house on Village Creek Road in Madison County, which is north of Fredericktown. So I know this one, this screenshot is a little dark. This is a screenshot of when they finally did release, and I know that it is, Miss Barbara has said, and I've read in articles, that she had to basically fight to get any kind of information, through FOIA acts, through requesting public records. She had to basically fight to get any scrap of information about Timmy's case. But anyway, this is a transcript or something to do with a 911 call. So you see there, and I'm sorry, I'm leaning in a little bit just to see that better, where I have the arrow, the top arrow pointing right. The call is received on February 28th, 2022 at 4:40 a.m. That is the phone call that Timmy made, the 911 call. So if you go down to where the lower arrow is pointing there to the left, you will read, and it now says, caller states that, quote, his friend is threatening him. So before this was finally released, and I don't know exactly when this information was finally released to Miss Barbara, it changed from, Timmy said that somebody was chasing him, but in this document that was released regarding the 911 call, it now says that his friend is threatening him. So obviously, that's another big question and concern that I have. Another concern that I have, and I know Miss Barbara does too, and anybody who's familiar with this case. So the call comes in at 4:40 a.m. If you look down below, it says caller states that his friend is threatening him. At 4:46 a.m., I'm thinking that's around the time, and I do have another slide that was a statement from the deputy that, the one I believe is the only deputy that responded to this 911 call. So at 4:56 a.m., so he gets there, and apparently that is where he encounters Trevor. And supposedly Trevor was there fixing a tire or something of that nature. And apparently, and I will read the deputy's statement. So Trevor is there. Apparently, apparently the responding deputy ran Trevor's information, found out he had some, I think, outstanding warrants, maybe some vehicle issues, nothing egregious, not, for homicide or any felonies or anything like that I know of. So by at least either 4:56 a.m. or 5:01 a.m., it says 308, which is the deputies, not the badge number. I think they call it the call signal call number. That when the police officer is on the radio, they'll say like a 308 to 452, whatever. It's basically, if I'm correct, and if Mr. Steve is still here, he can correct me. That's how they refer. That's the number they refer to when they're doing like radio calls. So 308 at either 4:56 or 5:01. 308 is 10:15, which I do know means suspect in custody or person in custody. Is 10:15, has a person, one part times one person in custody en route to the jail. And that's it. As far as I know, the one deputy that showed up was only there. So we will go to his statement. So on 2/28/2022 at approximately 4:43 a.m., Deputy Tyler Kennedy, DSN 308, which I'm assuming DSN is some kind of identification number, was dispatched by Madison County 911 to 115 County Road 217, which is Village Creek Road, in reference to a 911 call. Reporting party stated that his friend was outside the residence threatening him. That is Timmy's 911 call. At approximately 4:48 a.m., I arrived on scene from the north and observed a white male in the front yard of the residence. I attempted to make contact with the male, and this male, if I'm correct, is Trevor. He says, I attempted to make contact with the male. However, the male was facing north and looking down the road. The male was yelling and making big animated gestures with his hands and arms. So I'm assuming, if you're trying to get somebody's attention, you're saying, hey, come back, or whatever the case may be. So the deputy got the attention of the subject that was waving the arms, asked for the subject's identification. The male subject then presented his driver's license and was identified as Trevor. And you see, I blocked out the last name, and it had his date of birth and all that. So apparently, according to this deputy, it said that Trevor appeared to have an agitated manner and asked if I had seen another male subject fleeing the area. Trevor described the other subject to be wearing a white hoodie and running north in the middle of the street. So I'm assuming that Trevor is referring to Timmy. Now, the little thing, and I could be totally off on this, that I noticed was that in this part, we'll get to the lack of time that he was there in a minute, but the deputy said that he arrived from the north. When he got there, Trevor was looking to the north, making hand gestures, yelling, whatever he was yelling, trying to get somebody's attention. He asked this officer if he had seen somebody, presumably Timmy, running north down the road. So my thinking is, if Timmy had either, since the officer was coming from the north, Timmy was supposedly running towards the north, that if Timmy had indeed been running down the middle of the road at that time, the officer would have seen Timmy. I have now, as far as I could find, and I do not have access to court documents or any official documents from the police. Like I said, this came from the Lawless Files video I watched. I just snapped a couple of screenshots to use. So that means either Timmy was not running down the road at that time, or if Timmy was running north, he might have veered off the road before the officer got there. Like I said, I'm not a police. Like I said, if Mr. Steve is still in here, he could tell us better. Those are the only two possibilities that I could come up with. Why, if Timmy was indeed running down the road like Trevor and eventually Caleb, one of the stories that has been given is that Timmy took off running down the road. You would have thought that since this officer was coming from the north, if Timmy was running towards the north, unless he just veered off into the woods before the officer got there, you would have think that the officer would have seen Timmy. That is just my interpretation of this information. Like I said, I could be totally wrong. You guys in chat, feel free to let me know what you guys think. Okay, so we will go back to the amount of time or lack of time. This is another thing that bothers me and Miss Barbara and anybody else who knows about this case. So even if you go from when the call first came in at 4:40 and down to either 4:56 or 5:01, that is only 20 minutes total time from when the 911 call came in to when the deputy was en route to the jail with one subject in custody, which was Trevor. So we can probably narrow that down even more, because the deputy said he arrived at around 2:48 p.m. And then at either 4:56 or 5:01, I don't know which time goes with what, he is already en route to the jail with Trevor in custody. No mention has ever been made of anybody attempting to make contact with Timothy, trying to find where Timmy is. Timmy's the one that made the 911 call. You would think that that would be the priority for any responding officers. And like I said, from all that I've read and heard, one officer responded to this call, this whatever his name was. You would think that the first priority would be finding where Timmy was. He was the one that made the 911 call. No mention is ever made. All that is mentioned is that the officer shows up, he encounters Trevor, who is supposedly fixing a tire on his car or whatever the story is. He runs his name, finds out he has some warrants for, not serious, vehicle, maybe vehicle infractions. So, and I'm not downing police at all. I have the utmost respect for law enforcement. Why would you prioritize arresting Trevor for some maybe minor warrants, taking him to jail, and Timmy just gets lost somewhere in what? I do not understand this at all. Now I would feel different if maybe other officers were dispatched out there, and the first one that arrived on the scene went ahead and took Trevor to the jail, and the other officers looked. Or from everything that I have read and heard in interviews, this one officer was the only one that was sent out to this 911 call. Evidently thought it was more important to take Trevor here to jail for some not so dangerous warrants, and no mention is made of anybody attempting to look for Timmy or make contact with Timmy or figure out what was going on with Timmy. That is one of the biggest questions and concerns, that I have about this case. So anyway, we'll move on. So we went over the deputy statement. So while there, the deputies arrested. So later that morning, let me make sure I'm trying to get my facts straight. So Trevor was arrested when the 911 call came in. He was arrested apparently somewhere between 4:45, 5 o'clock. And apparently hours later, they came back out there and arrested Caleb also on some warrants. Because that's what it says. The deputies arrested the friend that Timmy had traveled to Fredericktown with, which is, from what I understand, is Caleb, on an outstanding warrant. And it says others, I don't know who these others are, present at the scene said that Timmy had been there earlier in the night but had already taken off. Now, apparently there are, and I'm going to read some of them, many different versions of when Timmy left, because the three people that Caleb, Trevor, and Michael all gave different times of the last time that they claimed to have seen Timmy. I think one of them said it was at 2 o'clock. One of them said it was at 3 o'clock. One of them said it was at, 4:30, 4:40, shortly before the police got there. Very, very confusing. And then Miss Barbara says, of course, and now it is like he has vanished. So that is basically, except for what Miss Barbara has said or been told by the police, that is all the confirmed information that we have about Timmy. So I do have about a 2-minute video that I want to play. Miss Barbara is in the video, so you get to see Miss Barbara. I've watched so many. I feel like I know Miss Barbara so much better now, even just through just the videos and the interviews I've been watching of her. But I'm going to back out and mute my camera and my mic and do the video full screen for you guys to watch. But I will be back.
Come as a St. Louis area family hopes to find their family member alive. He disappeared in that same region almost 2 months ago. Police say none of the bodies are that of Timmy Dees. Throughout the day, police, family, and friends have been searching Timmy's last known location, Fredericktown. It's about 90 miles south of the city. Only News 4's Jenna Ray takes us there tonight.
He was very sweet and funny. And he liked to joke around and dance, and he loved music. And he had a wonderful smile.
Timmy D's mom holds to memories of her son, who just turned 26 Sunday. His disappearance is so perplexing to his parents.
He would always call one of us, for sure. Nothing else, just say, hey, Dad, I'm all right.
He'd text me and say, I'm okay, Mom.
Barbara says Timmy was last at her home in Jefferson County on Friday, February 25th. She says Timmy's friend Caleb picked him up to go to Fredericktown for the weekend.
Caleb was a childhood friend. So for Timmy to come with Caleb to Fredericktown is not a surprise because Caleb lived here.
Sunday, February 27th is the last time Timmy was heard from. And investigators tell News 4 Timmy was seen on video at a Fredericktown gas station around 1:30 a.m. on the 28th.
He loved his job, Local 6. He had checks at the Union Hall.
6 weeks later, his parents have so many questions.
Like he's vanished.
And they're not giving up on finding him.
I started coming down, we made flyers, and then I just would sit at the courthouse and hand out flyers.
Law enforcement officials believe Timothy Dees was last seen here near County Road 277. That's why volunteers are out here searching the field nearby. Law enforcement officials saying a 911 call was made from Timmy's phone on February 28th.
The direction's going to be this way.
Those volunteers searched for hours Tuesday. It's unclear who made the 911 call from Timmy's phone. As for the people he was with on February 28th,
I've gotten 10 different stories from him, so I don't know.
Madison and Jefferson County Sheriff's offices, along with Missouri Highway Patrol, are now assisting in the search for Timmy Dees. The families even hired a private investigator. The disappearance is even more emotional after suddenly losing their other son back in June.
We love our son and we just want to find him. There's no doubt he's probably not alive, but I just want to find him to put him with his brother where he'd want to be. Whoever did this to my son has taken everything.
In Fredericktown, Jenna Ray, News 4.
News 4 has reached out to Timmy's friend Caleb. Parents and investigators both say he was with Timmy the night he disappeared. He hasn't gotten back to us yet, but if you have seen Timmy or have any information, call police.
All right, that was, let's back up here. Oh, remove. Hold on, technical difficulties. Change my, there we go. Okay, so that was just, I wanted to play that for one, because you get to hear from Miss Barbara. And as far as I know from what I've read, because it was talking about the searches, there were either 4 to 6 searches done. And I think, and once again, Miss Barbara can correct me if I'm wrong, only 1 or 2 of the searches that were done were actually organized by law enforcement. The majority of the searches that were done were organized by Miss Barbara and volunteers. That also concerns me. And I think she said that the first official police search, law enforcement search that was done wasn't until maybe a month or so later or more. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I heard her say that at some point in the newspaper, I don't know if it was Madison County or if it was Fredericktown chief or whoever, said that they weren't aware that Timmy was even missing until March, which is not true because Miss Barbara was there way before March, sitting on the courthouse steps just about every day, she said, except for Sundays and days that it wasn't raining. So they definitely were aware, or should have been aware, were aware that Timmy was missing. Another question and a concern that I have about this. All right, so next, I have to go back in full screen here and do it from my phone. So obviously within a few days, like I said, Miss Barbara was in Madison County searching for Timmy herself. She said at the courthouse, she passed out flyers. A $10,000 reward was offered to anyone who could help find Timmy. Miss Barbara was at the courthouse, like I said. She said every day except for Sundays and days when it rained. So she was definitely there way before March, whatever, when whichever law enforcement agency said that claimed that they did not know that Timmy was missing until sometime in March. That bothers me so bad, among other things. So in organizing searches, Miss Barbara went to houses in the area near where Timmy was last reported to be seen. She got homeowners to sign documents to give permission for volunteers to search their properties. She organized, it says a search. I know it was more than one search, followed by another with dogs. Her effort to close her son's case is nothing short of heroic. Absolutely. Miss Barbara is, like I said, all the interviews I've listened to with her, videos I've watched, interviews, I just can't say enough about Miss Barbara and her fight to find out what happened to Timmy. It's just, like I said, like it says here, nothing short of heroic. So at some point, and I'm not clear on when it was, Miss Barbara making clear that a private detective learned that there were two other men in addition to Timmy and his friend Caleb that were at the house on Village Creek Drive. And I don't know, on the slide there on the left, I just did a search for Village. I could not find Village Creek Drive. I found Village Creek Road. And that is the blueprint pin you see up there. The red pin, I think, is Highway or County Road 72, Highway 72. I'm hoping that is the right general area of this 115, was it 115 Village Creek Drive? I think is the official address. The third man that was there is the man called Michael or Mike. He's the one that they say says one of these men has a long criminal record, including charges for manufacturing illegal substances. I believe that is Michael or Mike that they are referring to there. After getting this information, Miss Barbara organized a fourth search with the volunteers on horseback so they could cover more ground, but unfortunately, again, they did not find anything. So this is another screenshot, and it is a document. I don't know where it came from, but it says on March 14th, 2022, I don't know if it was law enforcement or whoever it was, private investigator, whoever it was, Miss Barbara will obviously know. But anyway, it says, I was contacted by Barbara, who stated she learned that there was another individual at Caleb's house on the morning Timothy went missing. Barbara stated that Caleb's former stepdad, who apparently is Michael, or is some kind of relation, or however he's connected to Caleb, was at the address, and apparently there was another individual named Nicholas that had been helping look for Timmy in Fredericktown and learned of the information. Miss Barbara also advised that she was organizing a search with dogs and had contacted all the neighbors along Village Creek to get permission to search. Barbara stated she contacted a male who lived at 119 Village Creek, who told her that between 0400 and 0500 hours, which would be 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning, I believe, on February 28th, a tall male with, quote, slicked back hair came to his house and asked, quote, did you see a kid run through with a pocket full of, it says Xanax. That part is irrelevant. So apparently there was somebody, whoever the guy with the slick back hair was, that was going to at least this house, maybe others, asking if they had seen a kid running through. Assumably they would be referring to Timmy. So I wanted to include this because, and this is a quote from the article from the Riverfront Times that I was reading from earlier. It says, one day as Paul, Miss Barbara, sat outside the courthouse holding her signs for Timmy. The friend who took Timmy to Fredericktown, which was Caleb, approached her. It says he was wearing new clothes. He had a haircut, which was a far cry from the disheveled man who had called her on a jailhouse video phone in the early days of Timmy's disappearance. And that is, I read from once again from the same article, I read what Caleb had said about he was worried about him, and he loved Miss Barb and loved Timmy and would never do anything to hurt Timmy, and that whole conversation. Miss Barbara says their conversation was brief. She asked him point blank what happened to Timmy, and he said that Timmy had run off, adopted a new identity, and started a new life elsewhere. Which to me, like I said, I wasn't there, I don't know, but everything that I've heard Miss Barbara say would make absolutely no sense. So Miss Hall asked why Timmy would do such a thing, and the friend Caleb suggested that Timmy was depressed. And it says at the bottom that Miss Barbara was not buying any of it. And I tend to agree. And I think also there was a story, I don't know if it was from Caleb or from one of the other ones, that supposedly Timmy had either left or taken some kind of personal identification and was going to run off to some other state, or I don't know, which is like Miss Barbara says. I think she said there was like at least 10 different stories that were given about what happened, supposedly what happened that night. So that's where all the confusion and all the questions and all the concerns come in. So on July 21st, almost 5 months after Timmy disappeared, searchers finally did recover Timmy's body in a dry creek bed just 200 yards from the house on Village Creek Drive, where he was not last known to have been. That is where the 911 call originated from. Miss Hall said that Timmy was found without his phone. There's big questions about that phone or his shoes, and I believe that maybe at least one shoe was found with him. Miss Barbara said that it was very clean on the inside and the outside. It looked like it, and a dry creek bed, for anybody that doesn't know, basically a dry creek bed is basically dry unless you get a lot of rain. And it's like a natural waterway, a natural path that water travels. So you would think, because apparently his phone was never found, from what I understand. So where's the phone? Now, the explanation that I heard Miss Barbara say that was given to her was the phone must have washed down this little, and I don't know how big or small this dry creek bed was. But like Miss Barbara says, Miss Barbara is a very smart woman. anyway, one of the excuses or reasons that she was told by whichever law enforcement agency was that the phone most likely washed down the creek bed. So she said, well, if the phone washed down the creek bed, why is one of his shoes still here? A shoe, you would assume, is going to be much lighter than a phone. And you would expect that if anything was going to wash down the creek bed, it would be the shoe. And the phone is going to be much heavier, and you would expect it to maybe sink to the bottom or be, and like I said, I'm just so frustrated with all this. It's true, it could be true the phone did wash down, but I have a hard time believing that because the shoe was still there. Like Miss Barbara says, how could the shoe still be there if there was enough water to wash the phone away? I can't come up with any, and I'm not the smartest gal in the world, but I like to think that I have a little bit of common sense. It's a question. It's a question. So, an autopsy was performed. Actually, I believe there finally was a second autopsy done. I believe that was funded by Miss Barbara had to fight to get a second autopsy done. An autopsy was performed. Results of it were not released at that time of this article was written. The results were not released. It is not clear if the autopsy was done by the coroner in Madison County or with a medical examiner in a nearby jurisdiction. And at the time that this article was written, which is, I think it was from 2022 or so, the Madison County coroner was not in the office when the Riverfront Times called, despite subsequent calls to the Missouri Highway Patrol, the St. Francis County Medical Center, and the St. Louis County Medical Examiner. The Riverfront Times was unable to determine if the autopsy had been completed or if any results from it had been released. And once again, Ms. Barbara can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the two autopsies were done and that both of them came back as inconclusive for the COD, for the cause of death. When they found Timmy, it was skeletal remains. The claim was made that there was not even hair left. Now, I don't know about how long. But I just wonder about they said that there wasn't hair, which, mentioning hair, they could do a toxicology report to see if Timmy had any kind of anything, alcohol or anything in his system. But I've read cases where they have unearthed skeletal remains from years and years that still had hair on them. Now, like I said, I'm not if Mr. Steve is still here. He knows about this kind of stuff. He was a certified CSI tech and law enforcement. So I have a little bit of a question about that, and I think other people have raised that question too. But like I said, just another question that I have. All right, so this is one of the, or I think a series of statements put together that Trevor had made. He was the one that was arrested when the 911 call was made, when the officer came. He first encountered Trevor, ended up arresting Trevor on these, whatever these warrants were for. So, and I blocked out Trevor's last name. Like I said, not that I don't have questions, but just for liability purposes, because once again, nobody has formally been charged in Timmy's case. But at any rate, Trevor stated that he tried to call Caleb several times. Trevor stated that he walked around behind his aunt's house to where Caleb stayed. Trevor stated that Caleb, Timmy, and an old guy, Michael, now keep that in mind, were back there. Keep in mind, Trevor says Michael was there and was awake and alert. Trevor got lost. I'm trying to read from my screen. Trevor stated that this was the first time that he had met Timmy. Trevor stated that he started to have a conversation with Timmy. Trevor then stated that Timmy got up to go to the bathroom. He went outside. Trevor stated he got up and went to his car. Now, I don't know if this was at the same time, or close to the same time that Timmy went out, or if it was later on. It's one of the things that is in question. Trevor stated that he saw a cop go by, then turn around. Trevor stated the cop contacted him and he got arrested for a warrant. So that had to be the first and maybe only sheriff's deputy officer that showed up to go out there to look, investigate this 911 call by Timmy. He ends up apparently just forgetting all about Timmy and arresting Trevor and left. So it says, I ask, and I don't know, once again, when it says I don't know who these statements are coming from, but these are from documents. He says, I asked Trevor if he saw Timmy when he went out to his car. Trevor stated he wasn't physically looking for him, but he did not see him. Trevor stated when he was getting arrested, he did see Timmy supposedly run down the side of the house, jump over a fence, and start running down the street. I asked if it was Timmy he saw, and he replied, yes, it was Timmy. Trevor stated he ran towards what they call, I don't know, hopefully I won't get in trouble for saying this, Piss Bridge, P-I-S-S. We asked Trevor if anyone was chasing Timmy. He stated no one was chasing him, because that was the story from Caleb, supposedly that Caleb was supposedly under the influence of something and was paranoid, and he took off running and said that somebody was chasing him. I question that, but that's just me. He stated no one was chasing him. We asked Trevor if Dees was impaired. Trevor stated that supposedly, allegedly, Timmy was taking substances. Like I said, that's what Trevor said. I'm not saying I believe it, or believe it or not believe it. I don't know. I wasn't there. Trevor stated that he allegedly witnessed Timmy doing stuff. I asked Trevor what he thought happened to Timmy. Trevor stated he didn't know. Trevor stated that he tried to look for Timmy, figure out where he was, but he thinks that Timmy does not want to be found, which makes absolutely no sense to me. Trevor stated that his uncle, Josh, whoever that is, was on the front porch and saw him running too. Trevor stated that he told the cop to look when he saw Timmy running away, but he stated that the officer would not turn around. So to me, that doesn't make sense, because in what I read earlier from the other documents, that when the cop pulled up coming from the north, that Trevor was facing the north, jumping up and down and making hand gestures and supposedly calling for Timmy or whatever. And now he says that when he was already assumably being arrested in handcuffs, that's when Timmy now has run around the side of the barn or the house, jumped over the fence, and took off down the road. Now, unless I'm completely misunderstanding, lost my place again. Trevor then asked us where, I think it said Caleb got arrested. Caleb was arrested hours later. Trevor stated that Caleb told him that Timmy asked for a ride to Irontown, and they got pulled over halfway to Irontown, and Caleb went to jail. Trevor stated he didn't know where Timmy was at. Trevor also stated that's exactly what Caleb told him when he went to jail. Trevor said, I thought since Caleb got into trouble in Irontown, he thought maybe Timmy was trying to get him to Irontown to snitch on him. Snitch on him for what? I mean, like I said, this is just excerpts from documents. But yeah, stories change a lot. So apparently Caleb had made some, there was something about when they were all at the Sea Barn gas station about some gas either wasn't or was paid for, wasn't paid for. So apparently Caleb had spoke with somebody named Amber. Caleb expressed anger towards Timothy regarding him supposedly not paying for gas, stating, quote, "It's because of Timmy. When I see Timmy, I'm beating the F out of that MF." You can read it up there. I can't say the words out loud. And then supposedly around March 5th, Caleb spoke with Miss Barbara, who talked about Timothy being reported missing. Caleb stated he did not know where Timothy would be, but stated that he was last at his house in Fredericktown. Caleb stated Timothy dipped out and stated he was, quote, acting like an idiot. Miss Barbara stated Timothy has not been in a good place since his brother passed away and said his phone had been dead. Caleb stated Timothy acted like he paid for gas, and that was the reason that Caleb got arrested. Now, that's just one of the many stories. So this is Caleb. Caleb was asked about his relationship with Michael. Caleb stated that Michael used to date his mother. Caleb stated that Michael called him and asked if Michael could stay at his place for a few days. Caleb apparently agreed. Caleb stated that Michael never saw, now remember this, that Michael never saw Timothy and that he was asleep the entire time. Now, in the Lawless Files video, YouTube video, there's a link to the Lawless Files YouTube channel in the description box. I encourage you, please go watch the 2 videos about this case. Whoever does the Lawless Files, and I cannot remember his name, I'm so mad at myself. He had an audio recording of an interview done by law enforcement with this Michael character. And he says that he did see Timmy on that night. And then we have Caleb saying, and I've read it in other places, that Michael was passed out the whole time and never saw Timmy. So there's another discrepancy in stories. Caleb stated that he did not hurt Timmy, nor did anyone around his house. Caleb was asked how he knew that for sure. And he says, Caleb said because Michael was effing asleep the whole time. Caleb stated he got arrested the morning of Timmy's disappearance. He doesn't know anything after that. Caleb then requested his attorney and did not provide any more information. So like I said, that is just one of the many stories that Caleb is given. I encourage you, once again, go to the Lawless Files. There's a 5-minute recap. Watch the 45-minute video. It has all the document, or a lot of the documents. It has the interviews, audio of the interviews. You will learn there are a lot of discrepancies. And now these are official police recordings of, law enforcement interviews, official documents. There's just so much discrepancy in these stories, guys. It's just unreal. Right, so basically that is all I could find. So I know that you guys all, I'm gonna start going back up to the top. And I know there's more information that I'm going to that I learned, that I just jotted down some points that I jotted down from when I watched the I'm hoping that I'm gonna have to go back out. Since I'm finished reading my slides, I might have to go back out and go through comments on my phone, but I got to try to get back to the top and start working my way through. Because I don't think my Okay, I think I'm back, because I don't think my computer's going to. Okay, so okay, so we went through Caleb and Trevor being arrested for warrants. The 911 call first said, or the first thing that was said supposedly was that Timmy said that somebody is chasing him, but when the official documents were finally released, the 911 call said that Timmy said a friend was threatening him. So that's a concern that I have. The other concern we went over, police never contacted or attempted to find Timmy when the one officer went out there to look for him. He was more interested, apparently, in arresting Trevor for some not too serious warrants. And apparently, when Miss Barbara, I'm just going over the notes I made from listening to the Lawless Files video. Apparently, when Miss Barbara was trying to file the missing persons or to get information, that I think it was Jefferson County and Madison County were going back and forth saying, you know, and maybe Fredericktown police said that, you know, it wasn't their case. You need to contact Madison County. Madison County said you need to contact Jefferson County, and nobody wanted to help, basically. Madison County, Jefferson County, maybe Fredericktown. I don't know about Fredericktown. The different stories, basically, and after Timmy's remains were found, for anybody who doesn't know, after Timmy's remains were found, apparently, the the Missouri Highway Patrol, I believe, who was eventually, I guess, was the lead investigator, said case closed. Timmy ran off. Basically, they said Timmy, something was going on. He ran off. He got hurt or did something. He just basically laid down and passed away. That was the story, literally, that Miss Barbara was given. After that, there was, and we'll talk about the phone, because apparently before they found the remains, they were going to try to supposedly ping the FBI, maybe. Somebody was going to try to ping Timmy's phone. They had requested Trevor and Caleb's phone records, Snapchats, things like that. But then after the body was found, apparently they canceled those warrants or something with the warrants, which I don't understand. In my opinion, Timmy's phone at least still should have been tried to be pinged or found, even though they found his remains, because there were so many questions. So there's that. And then like a month or more later, maybe in March, there was a check-in to Facebook on Timmy's Facebook page. And this was after he had been found deceased. So how does that happen? Tell me how that happens. Unless somebody had to have had access to his Facebook account. So who was that, and who did that check-in? Beyond me, another question that I have. And like I said, Miss Barbara had to fight basically to get any kind of information, the FOIA Act and requesting public records. The Missouri Highway Patrol never formally, that I know of, interviewed Miss Barbara about Timmy or any of the circumstances regarding his case. Says I have written down Madison County and Jefferson County refused to ping Timmy's phone. Apparently, at some point during that morning, Caleb had made numerous calls to Timmy's phone. There was a documented 4-minute call from Caleb's phone to Timmy's phone. Like I said, basically, the Missouri Highway Patrol closed the case after Timmy's remains were found. I mean, they just basically took the word of these Caleb, Trevor, and Michael, who were maybe not so savory characters. They basically just took their word and didn't do any other investigation, even though Timmy's phone's not been found. They didn't do anything further to investigate the 911 call, saying that my friend is threatening me. I don't understand any of it. I don't understand how they can close this case without investigating further. I'm trying to make it through my notes so I can get to all you guys' comments, especially Miss Barbara's. And I see that she's been. So supposedly the friends that were there, Caleb, Trevor, and Miss Michael said that Timmy was supposedly under the influence, paranoid, and that's why they claimed that he took off running and said that somebody was chasing him. We now know that that's not what was said. He said somebody, his friend, and Miss Barbara said that his only friend in Fredericktown would have been Caleb, because before then he did not know Trevor or this Michael guy. I wrote down after the deputies never attempted to find Timmy. They just arrested Trevor. Caleb's story changes. Caleb said the last time he saw Timmy was around 2. Mike said that the last time he saw Timmy, so we have the two, either Mike was either asleep the whole time and didn't see Timmy at all, but according to Mike, he was awake and did see Timmy, and 3 o'clock was the last time he saw him. And I think Trevor was around 4:40 or 4:50 around the time that the 911 call came in, was when Trevor claimed that was the last time that he saw Timmy. So, like I said, someone logged into Timmy's Facebook 1 month after he went missing. So that's a whole, I have questions about that. And I think Miss Barbara said that even disappeared somehow, that check-in in Fredericktown 1 month after Timmy was reported missing, or, found, was even disappeared off the Facebook. So yeah, lots and lots of questions. All right, so now I'm gonna start making my way through comments. How long have we been? Oh, we're on the hour 37 in. I wish trying to see the times on these. Yeah, Dandy says Timmy and his brother are handsome young men. I want to make sure that I don't miss. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna try to do my control my comment, put my comments up for my computer, but I want to make sure that they all loaded and that I didn't miss anything. Yes, Farq said this case is absolutely heartbreaking. Prayers for Barbara. Absolutely. For Miss Barbara, Miss Marion, the whole family. Absolutely. I'm trying to get back to the bear with me 1 minute. Yes, Miss Kimberly Lotz is here. Durante, Miss Kimberly is Durante, for anybody who might not have been here earlier, is Durante Martin's grandmother. That's another Fredericktown, Missouri case. Durante's case will most likely definitely be my case of the week for next week. I'm going to dig into that one. Yes, Miss Kimberly says, thank you for helping us bring awareness to all this corruption. Yes, because in all the, just for an aside concerning Fredericktown. Now, I cannot speak for Fredericktown. I've never been there, but and the substance problem, because I can't really say the drug word too much, so I just say substance problem that is prevalent as far as the making and selling of substances. I cannot speak for Fredericktown, but I'm in Arkansas, for anybody who doesn't know. I live in a very small, very rural town. And I can tell you firsthand that the substance manufacture and selling of and consuming of is very prevalent here. And unfortunately, and I'm not, once again, when I say this, I'm not downing law enforcement. Not all law enforcement is corrupt, but I can tell you that unfortunately, in a lot of these small towns here in the South, that some, if not all, of a small town's police department, these substance manufacturers put money into pockets of some law enforcement. I'm not saying all, some. It's on an individual basis to look the other way. So I definitely, because that's one thing that Miss Barbara I noticed that she has brought up in all her interviews is, yes, like I said, I cannot speak for Fredericktown, Missouri, but I can speak about the area that I live in, and it definitely happens. So I understand where you're coming from when you say corruption. I definitely know what you're talking about. Oh, goodness. You give a little time out for Mr. Steve here. Mr. Steve said earlier he might not even be here. This was 8:14. Just settled in after a 1,100-mile drive. So bear with me. Oh my goodness, 15 hours behind the wheel. Mr. Steve, I don't even know if you're still here. He may be passed. Hopefully he's sleeping by now. God bless you, Mr. Steve. Mr. Steve does fantastic work. He and the whole team that goes out with him to work on help these families with these cold cases, trying to get some closure. God bless you, Mr. Steve. Be safe. Get some rest. Yep, everybody's Miss Marion says thank you and your team to Crime Web. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a new name. Get a look-see. Welcome. Get a look-see. Good to have you here. Thank you for finding us. Yeah. Dave says better to be behind the wheel than in front of the wheel. That's true. I said I'm just going through, making sure I'm getting down to yes, Dandy. Thank you for putting it. Dandy put in join Mr. and Mrs. Steve on the True Crime Web. Oh, thank you, Dave. Dave says you're in good hands with Southern Gal. She is awesome. Thank you, my friend. Like I said, I just do the best I can to bring awareness to these cases, just like Dave does. Dave has a very good channel. Please check out on the Prowl. Absolutely, Miss Barbara said, thank you all for being here. Absolutely, Miss Barbara. We are here for you, for Miss Marion, for the whole family, for all the families out there. For Miss Kimberly, we'll be doing Durante's case. We are here for you, for all of you. All right. Okay, I think I'm down finally to, okay, so yeah. If I can get it to work. Now it's not going to work on my, Dandy says Tim and his brother are handsome young men. That is so sad. Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful family. Once again, I'm sorry I'm leaning into, but I don't know if Oh, there it goes. Welcome, Natalie Long. Natalie Long. I don't know if Natalie's still here. I did watch a video interview with Miss Natalie Long. I think it was her. I'm pretty sure. If it's not, I apologize. From Locating the Lost, another good. I'd never watched them before, but when I was searching for YouTube videos to watch about Timmy's case that included Miss Barbara, interviews with Miss Barbara, I came across an interview with Natalie Long, who was, if I remember correctly, a friend of Timmy's. Miss Barbara, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or Natalie, if you're still here. I don't know if you're still here. Very good interview. Lots of good information. I will have to find that interview because I forgot to link it in the description box. Welcome, Natalie. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Miss Marion says, thank you all for being here. Justice for all, justice for Timmy Dees. Absolutely. Trying to get down to the questions and the, it's another new face. Welcome, Michael Pinkley. Welcome, welcome. He says, if time heals all wounds. Absolutely. Welcome, Michael. I'm so proud, or so I love seeing all these new faces, new names here. Encyclopedia is here. Encyclopedia Brown, as I like to call her. Encyclopedia of True Crime and the Unknown. Good to have you here. I'm okay. So I'm specifically looking. I'm gonna try to get everybody. I can't get everybody's comment or question in, but I was just specifically looking for Miss Barbara. She says, no, I talked to Timmy on Monday and Tuesday. I went to church. And when I got home from church, I felt deathly sick and knew something was wrong because Timmy had talked to me every day. Okay, absolutely. That's why I said, you correct me on anything that I might have gotten wrong or any wrong information that I shared. That's why I love, it's an honor that Miss Barbara and Miss Marion and Miss Kimberly and anybody else in here that I'm going to be working on these Fredericktown cases. I'm honored that you would give me the opportunity to share these cases and try to bring more awareness, and I will do it to the best of my ability. I promise you. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair. Once again, I should have put it back. Welcome, Carla Sapp, a new name. Let's hear. Says, I have lost one. I can't imagine two. My prayers go out to you. Absolutely. Welcome, Carla. And I'm assuming you might probably mean Caleb, because you've mentioned this before. Miss Barbara said, and he never helped me look for him. I know you've, in all the videos, interviews I've listened to and watched, so you said that Caleb never offered or never helped to look for Timmy. That's another red flag in my, issue that I have. Welcome, Mama Ken has a very good question. Welcome, Mama Ken, another new name. Miss Barbara, did they ever give you an actual COD? I'm sorry, I guess I missed that information. As far as I've read, now, like I said, the last interviews that I read or listened to were from a couple of years ago from Miss Barbara. I'm sure she'll answer down somewhere. I don't know. As far as I know, the two autopsies they did came back as inconclusive. Now, like I said, Miss Barbara may have a different information. Nellie said, yes, that's Caleb that didn't. I want to get Natalie's comments in here too. Because just from, I knew I forgot to include all the links. I will put a link to when I go back and edit the live. I will put the link from Locating the Lost. They interviewed Natalie. Miss Barbara probably answered, but Encyclopedia, this happened in 2022. And February 28th, 2022 is when he disappeared, when Timmy disappeared, and his remains were found 5 months later. And I was going to mention too, another piece concerning the searches. I'm still unclear on if it was I think it was a police official, law enforcement led search that actually found Timmy in the Dry Creek bed, just 200 yards from the house that he was last known to be at. But I believe in one of the interviews that Miss Barbara had said that during another search somewhere, I think it was one of the 1 or 2 official law enforcement searches that were done, that there was it was the complete opposite direction of where Timmy was last seen or said to have been going. There was something about 2 storage sheds. They had a canine dog, and the canine alerted on 2 sheds. They let them open one shed and look in the shed, but they would not let them, for some reason, law enforcement or whoever would not let them look in the other shed at that time. I have questions about that too. Yes, Miss Barbara said earlier when I was showing the screenshots of inside the Sea Barn gas station, Miss Barbara said, yes, the picture of the person inside the gas station is Caleb. Thank you. I was hoping I was right about that. Thank you, Miss Barbara. Mama Ken must know. Yeah, because I don't know if this was the same, because I heard mention of this medical examiner coroner, but Mama Ken said, I swear that's all Deidre knows how to put on a death certificate is undetermined. Yeah. And some of the other cases from Fredericktown, I think, is that the one that investigated, was the coroner or the ME that did all the autopsies in a lot of cases, and very sketchy. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Like I said, I'm just beginning to dig into these Fredericktown cases. Timmy's is the first one that I've really dug into. Exactly. Mr. Stevens said, what are the odds of a stranger who is being chased finds a lost phone to call 911? So Timmy is the caller. Absolutely. Yeah, I have no doubt. Yeah, we have no doubt Timmy is the caller. Absolutely. So that's why in the articles or the quotes from law enforcement or whoever said that, is either Timmy or somebody using his phone. It, absolutely no sense. Yep, Miss Natalie Long agrees. Exactly. There's Junior Johnson. Hey, Junior. I don't know. Junior may be in bed by now, but he was here at 8:48. Hey, Junior. Good to have you here. Junior's one of our regulars. Hey, Miss Kimberly says that she believes the deputy is the same, or the dispatcher is the same one that was on Durante Martin, her grandson's call. Interesting. So that is Madison County, right? I want to try to keep my county straight. No, there's Madison County and Jefferson County that's been mentioned a lot. But I believe Fredericktown is in Madison County, right? I know I'm just, Missouri is right on top of me here on Arkansas, but I have not been to Missouri a whole lot. I've been through Missouri or the corner of Missouri going on trips, but anyway. Yeah, Natalie says, talking to Danny, but says there are several out of Fredericktown over the last few years, all the same, law enforcement and patrol, etc. Exactly. Yep. Lots of connections and coincidences. I don't know, Marissa. Marissa asked if Timmy won any money on the slots. I don't know that question. Miss Barbara may have. All it said in the article that I found was that he withdrew, I think, $150 or $160 from the ATM. Now I don't know about the slot, if he won anything on the slot machines or not. I'm making my way, guys. I don't know how. So Miss Barbara says, I don't know if she's talking about Trevor or Caleb. Says he was on probation, did not show up for court on a firearm charge. So that's either, I'm assuming maybe that's Trevor. I don't know. Or it could be for Caleb, either one. Yes, absolutely. Natalie says less than 10 minutes. That one officer, as far as I know, that less than 10 minutes, that officer was there. And apparently that officer was more important in arresting Trevor on some, from what I understand, maybe not so serious warrants. I mean, again, if it was a firearm, that would be, but even so, if you're one deputy out there and you find a subject, that needs to be arrested, you call and have somebody else come out and either start looking for Timmy or vice versa. You call somebody out and say, hey, I have this person needs to be taken to the jail. Come get him. I'm going to look for Timmy, or, the 911 caller. That never happened. That just blows my mind. I cannot conceive that. I can't. I just, woo. Encyclopedia, as far as I know, Encyclopedia says, is his case closed as far as law enforcement label? As far as I know, yes. From what like I said, unless something has changed in the last couple of years, from interviews and things that Miss Barbara said, they basically closed the case. Even before, okay, so I forgot this. I heard Miss Barbara say several times, several interviews, that as soon as they found, and I think it was the Missouri, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, Natalie or Miss Barbara, Miss Marion, as soon as they found, I think it was the Missouri Highway Patrol that ended up being in charge of the investigation. As soon as they found Timmy's body or his remains, which were skeletal, the case is closed. And they told Miss Barbara that, and they took just from statements, stories, different versions from Caleb, Trevor, and Michael. They came to the conclusion before an autopsy was even done that Timmy was doing some kind of substances and he freaked out and he basically went out in the woods and he lay down and passed away. And this was before an autopsy was even done. But then they also said, if I remember correctly, that there was not any hair left to be able to do a toxicology report to see if Timmy even had any kind of alcohol or any substances in his system. So so basically, as far as I understand Encyclopedia, I'm sure Natalie or Miss Barbara or Miss Marion will correct me if I'm wrong, if they're still here, because I'm behind in comments. But yeah, they basically, this whole thing with pinging the phone, apparently that got quashed after they found his remains. They said, oh, we're not going to try to ping the phone and try to find Timmy's phone now. We found him. This is what happened according to these three characters. And so we're not going to investigate anything any further. Even though you had a 911 call from the victim that said, my friend is threatening me. His body was found about 200 yards from the place where he was last known to be with at least these three people and maybe other people. I'm unclear about that. And you're not going to do a further investigation before an autopsy is even done. You say, oh, he was under the influence and he was paranoid and he just ran out in the woods and either fell down and hurt himself or he got tired and just laid down and he succumbed. Absolutely no sense to me. Absolutely no sense. No, thanks, Dandy. I didn't see that. Yeah, please. Yeah. Anybody if you type in all caps, YouTube sees it spam and it may delete it, or it may zap. It's not good for the, I know there's some people here who don't know that. I didn't know that until I started getting in chats and I would see, don't type in all caps, Yes, absolutely. Natalie says the case was closed before an autopsy was even done. Yes, Miss Natalie is right. For anybody who may have missed it, Miss Natalie is a friend of Timmy. And you should watch the interview with her. Just search, I believe it was the Locating the Lost channel, YouTube channel. If you just put in Timmy Dees on YouTube, it will bring it up. Encyclopedia asked Miss Barbara, have you gotten a complete copy of the case? I know she's been fighting to. Now, whether she's got it yet or not, I know Miss Barbara has been having to fight for every scrap of information, any documents. She has been having to fight for it, tooth and nail. Through, I'm assuming, the FOIA Act, request for public records. They don't want to, unless they've changed their mind. They have not the officials have not wanted to release any information to Miss Barbara, and I don't understand that either. Yeah, Encyclopedia says, I think Miss Barbara has, I think she's probably answered it too. Definitely, yes. I also remember Miss Barbara saying this in an interview that she did get some information, but they kept some things from me that she can prove that they kept from her. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yep. Yep, Miss Barbara says it was only a 5-minute period from the 911 call that he was there. It doesn't make any sense. Absolutely, Miss Barbara. That just blew my mind. The first thing, because I started from the beginning, when you last saw him and when he and Caleb left to go down to Fredericktown, and then when I got the document, the snapshot of or screenshot of the 911 call document, and I got to looking and saying, that's 20 minutes at the most, 10 minutes at the very least. That made absolutely no sense to me. That you cannot, no, that is not acceptable. Yeah, Encyclopedia asked which law enforcement agency handled this case. Miss Barbara said the Highway Patrol Troop E, the Missouri Highway Patrol Troop E, and the sheriff. And now that was, I don't know if she's still Sheriff Katie McCutcheon. I have questions about. Now, I came across it was a different case. It was one of the Fredericktown cases. And it was just a clip from, I don't even know what YouTube channel it was, but somebody with a reporter with documents. It was concerning some kind of Masonic ring that went missing, was logged into evidence, but then they said that they couldn't find, it wasn't logged into evidence. And if it's the Katie McCutcheon or McClutcheon, when she was presented with facts there in her face, she was like stammering, well, I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know what case that is concerning the ring, the Masonic ring, I believe it was, that went missing. But yeah, that's the only video clip I've seen of the sheriff. And I was, to say the least, I was not impressed. Yeah, Miss Barbara says, I'm assuming still talking about Caleb. He never looked for my son is the biggest problem. Never knocked on my door, nothing. Or you may be talking about somebody else, law enforcement or Caleb. But yeah, it's just, once again, God bless you, Miss Barbara and Miss Marion. Yes, speaking of Miss Marion, who is Timmy's aunt, says Timmy Dees was the most important person because of the 911 call. Absolutely. That's the first priority. Forget Trevor or whoever, anybody else with warrants. Like I said, if you think he has to absolutely be taken in right then and there, you call another deputy to come and either that deputy that comes starts looking for Timmy, or you hand the prisoner Trevor off to the other deputy, and you know, to me, I would have, you know, because it is standard from what I understand, just being around. I used to be around a lot of law enforcement in work, but it's standard procedure. You come to a scene, you get people's ID, you run their ID. Even if he came back with warrants, and from what I understand, you know, maybe the firearm charge, but like I said, at the very least, you throw him in the back, lock him in the back of the patrol car, and you go start looking for Timmy. You call somebody to come pick up Trevor, and you go start looking for Timmy immediately. That blows my mind. I don't know. Marissa asked, is there any body cam footage or footage of Trevor in the law enforcement vehicle? I don't know. Yes, and I remember Miss Barbara saying about information and stuff. So she had to pay a lot of money to get information. That's horrible. That is horrible. Okay, Miss Teresa says, I'm Adam Banks Bright's mom from Southeast Missouri. Okay. Is Adam another? See, I'm just now getting into these Fredericksburg and Missouri and Southeast Missouri cases. So Adam Banks, correct me if I'm wrong. That will definitely be on my list. Yeah, Miss Barbara said, I requested everything, but I can prove that I didn't get everything. I even did it by certified mail. Yeah. Yeah, get a look see, says FOIA from FBI, Sunshine Act from city, state, county, Iron County, highway, yeah, all information they tried to get. Okay, so encyclopedia says, so I can read it. Says at Southern Gal, I'm going to email you, and you can add Miss Barbara to our emails. Let's see what we can dig deeper and find. Absolutely, absolutely, encyclopedia. Okay, so Miss Barbara says that was after 6 weeks of begging them to look for him. Yeah, because apparently they claimed for however long that they didn't even know that. Yeah, they wouldn't even go look for him. Miss Barbara and volunteers had to organize searches in the beginning. Absolutely, and it just blows my mind. Junior, he may not be anymore. This happened in February of 2022. Junior, if you're still here, he's probably long in bed. It's 10 o'clock. I've been gone 2 hours. It's not bad. Yep. Be amazing encyclopedia. Yeah, Miss Barbara is talking to encyclopedia. Absolutely, encyclopedia. Anything you can do. Yes. Park Hughes says Miss Barbara is a strong, resilient, stubborn, inspirational woman. Absolutely. All rolled up a little ball of fire, little firecracker. I love Miss Barbara. I hadn't even met you personally, but Miss Barbara, especially after this whole week of listening to your voice on podcasts, watching, listening to your voice, watching the videos of you. I can, every time I read one of your comments, I hear it now. I hear your voice. When I'm reading the comments. Miss Barbara is an absolute inspiration. I'm telling you. Yeah, Teresa, I think I mentioned a little about this. Said Teresa Bright says, and don't forget to talk about the dog led them to the storage sheds that the law enforcement rented the dog hen on, but the sheriff lied and said they had already opened it and lied about that. That's why they refused to open it. Okay, I got you. See, I didn't know about the law enforcement connection to the other shed. That's even more disturbing. Even more disturbing. Yep, Miss Marion says God has Miss Barbara. Yeah, God has got us all, and we've all got Miss Barbara and everyone else. Miss Barbara, Miss Marion, Miss Kimberly, Miss Teresa. If I'm correct in assuming that Adam is another victim in Fredericktown, one of the Fredericktown cases. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is what we're here for support. We're here to support these families any way we can, even with just words. We're here to, and I don't mean just me when I say we, creators and the community, our communities are here for victims' families, for support, for awareness, anything that needs to be done. We're here. Yeah, Teresa says Caleb is lying to save his own butt. Yeah, I try not to make judgments when I don't have all the facts, but I think just from the little bit of what I've read and the way his story's changing, there's definitely something up with all three, with Caleb, Trevor, and this Mike character. I just different stories changing. Yeah, I don't understand how, with, like I said earlier, with the 911 call, when you know my friend is threatening me. His remains were found 200 yards from where he was last seen at. The discrepancies in the stories, the missing. I just don't understand how they just said, "Okay, we're taking the word of these three people, and that's it. We're not going to do any further investigation before an autopsy is even done." It's just, yeah, and that's another thing they said was that, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. That there was no sign of trauma to the bones. That does not necessarily automatically rule out homicide. You can have flesh wounds with an edged weapon. You can have strangulation. There are all manner of, unfortunately, all manner of ways to take the life of somebody where it won't necessarily show up just by looking at the bones. So yeah, I don't understand. Oh, okay. So Teresa says the judge's backyard. Okay, so when I was reading just some articles about talking about all these cases, there was one case where one of the victims was found in the judge's backyard. I'm assuming you mean your son. If I'm wrong, correct me. But that when you said judge's backyard, I remember reading about one of these cases that one of the victims was found in the judge's backyard. Please let me know if you're still here. Or you can feel free to email me. I think Dandy's put it in or somebody, but my email is a wild. There's my email. Feel free, anybody, to email me any details about your loved ones' cases. Most definitely email me. Oh, okay. Yep. Teresa says, yeah, with the pinging of the phone, says, I know they can ping a phone from any police station for a missing person. Yeah. Yep. And Teresa says that, yeah, they never pinged his phone. Nope. Nope. Never pinged his phone. Because they claim that I'm assuming they claim that they didn't have the phone because it supposedly washed, even though at least one of the shoes was left there. Apparently the shoe didn't float down with the water, but the water was strong enough to take a phone, but not a shoe. Yep. Encyclopedia, did they ping his phone at all? Not that I know of. Nope. Okay, so Miss Barbara says, I'm assuming you're talking about Timmy's phone. Says the detective in Jefferson County, I'm assuming you meant pinged his phone and it hit on a storage unit that they would not open that belonged to a police officer. That's where the cadaver dogs hit on. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep. So they did end up pinging his phone at some point, Miss Barbara? Oh my goodness. Oh. And Miss Barbara said, yes, there was absolutely nothing left of my son, but then his tooth was out. And when I got the coroner's report back, they had put his tooth back in his mouth and did not document it. Are you serious? Oh my goodness. Was this the first autopsy from the medical examiner or coroner in question, or was this your independent? I'm assuming it was the first autopsy. I'm just assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Teresa says he had a perfect smile. Great. Yes, he had. Oh, he had the most beautiful and cute, infectious smile. I've looked at a lot of pictures of Timmy lately, or this week too, researching. Absolutely amazing. And Miss Barra says it was at 4:43. The statements are coming from the Highway Patrol. Yeah, Missouri Highway Patrol Troop E. I don't know who. Teresa said somebody is a very bad man. He buys and sells substances and robs too. I don't recognize that name. Oh yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Teresa says the law enforcement cops have a bad reputation for being corrupt in Fredericktown. Yeah, like I said, I can't personally speak from Fredericktown. You guys can, but I do live in a very small town under 2,000 people and very rural area, and it is so eaten up with the manufacture of substances, sale of substances, use, and unfortunately, not all cases, not all law enforcement is obviously on an individual basis. But unfortunately, a lot of law enforcement are in the back pockets of these manufacturers and dealers, and they turn their head. It's just a horrible, sad situation, and I hate it. I hate it so bad. Absolutely. Miss Kimberly said, it's funny how these officers don't know how to effectively perform their duties. Absolutely. I said, I'm not law enforcement, never have been, but I worked years ago in the 90s. I worked at a pizza place. Used to be a big chain pizza place, and the town I worked in, the local the county sheriff's department was in that town. So we would get all the city police would come in, county, state troopers, highway patrol would that be kind of a gathering place at this pizza place I worked at. So I got to know them very well and how, kind of know how things work. And I do have very good friends who are law enforcement and EMS workers. So yeah, I mean, yeah, even just kills me when with the 911 call and they didn't even they were more worried about Trevor and arresting him than they were about finding Timmy. I don't understand it at all. Thank you, Encyclopedia. Yeah, I think Teresa said Michael was awake and he was going to confess everything after he gave his first statement. he called the cops and made an appointment for a couple of days later to confess, but never showed up. All right. Excellent information. Thank you, Miss Barbara. Yes, Bob Miller, the Lawless Files. Please check out the Lawless Files YouTube. There's at least, I think, the 2 videos that he did on Timmy's case. Like I said earlier, one is about 5 minutes, the other's about 45 minutes. But there is at least 3 episodes on his podcast. I've listened, and I do wherever you get listen to your podcast. I listen to mine through Spotify. Listen to the podcast. I still have to listen to the 3rd one. I've listened to the first 2 episodes he did about Timmy's case. I gotta listen to the 3rd one. I'll probably do it tonight when I get off here if I can stay awake. If not, I'll do it tomorrow. But yes, the Lawless Files, Bob Miller. Okay, so Miss Barbara said it was Caleb that kept saying he would come back. Are you talking about for the, because I think, if I remember correctly, you mentioned that Caleb was said he would do a lie detector test, but every time they would go get him to do the lie detector test, he was never there. He never showed up. You can, once again, please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Miss Teresa says, and the law enforcement never tried to pick him up for the truth to come out about Timmy. But wasn't when they arrested Caleb, wasn't he in for he was in jail for like a month or more? If I remember from the interviews, Miss Barbara, that Caleb was actually in jail for 30 days, 40 days or so. Yeah, I've heard Miss Barbara say this many times. She got 10 different stories from Caleb. Yeah, absolutely. Because Caleb said that Mike was supposedly asleep, passed out the whole time, and he never saw Timmy. But Mike himself, in an from the Lawless Files video, that interview with Mike, that whatever law enforcement that was, he says, yeah, I was awake, I saw Timmy, and blah blah blah. So, what's the real story? I mean, in my opinion, I think all 3 of them were awake and aware, and something happened to make Timmy panic, whatever it was. Like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there. Something happened, because I do remember maybe Miss Barbara and Natalie saying in her video that Timmy was not one to call police. He would call family and friends. So if he was panicked or scared to the point that he made a 911 call, that something was definitely going on. Yeah. Encyclopedia said, was FBI involved? I'm unclear on that. I don't know if it was Miss Barbara or somebody might have contacted the FBI. I don't know about that, so I don't want to answer. I'll let Miss Barbara may have answered further down about the FBI. Yeah, see, I wonder, Teresa says, mentioned I want to know about who checked in on Timmy's Facebook a month after he disappeared. That's another thing another reason. Yeah, yes, I have heard those recordings. Miss Barbara says, yes. But when I called them, they told me that Jeff Johnson, the highway patrol officer, stopped the warrants for the phone. And this was after they found Timmy's body. They decided, they're not going to do the warrants. And they're calling you a liar. I've heard those probably from the Lawless Files The videos from the YouTube channel, those call, oh, Miss Barbara, those call, the way they talk to you, whoever that was, oh my gosh, it is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Yes. Teresa says Barb has recordings of, I keep wanting to say Mississippi. Missouri State Highway Patrol said no, but FBI, no FBI, but the FBI told Barbara that they were. Yep. Yep. Kimberly said they can't cancel something they never did. Yep. I don't know if you're talking to me, Miss Barbara. Miss Barbara said, thank you. You're doing a great job. If you're talking to me, thank you, ma'am. I feel like I'm just frazzled tonight just because this case is just so, I just, like I said, I have more questions than, of course, I never have the answer because I don't know. I wasn't there for any case, but usually I can, I work up the case and read it and research it and, do my timelines and try to think things, use my critical thinking and deductive reasoning, and nothing about this makes sense. I mean, nothing. I just don't understand why it has not been investigated, why they just closed it down. I mean, I have an idea probably why they don't want to investigate, but I will let y'all discuss that amongst yourselves. I don't want to get in trouble, but I have my suspicions. Yeah, Encyclopedia says, yeah, I think locals could have shut them out, the FBI out, only FBI case if state lines are crossed. Yeah, if state lines are crossed, I think it automatically goes to FBI. Otherwise, FBI has to be asked by local law enforcement, or I believe parents can invite. Once again, Teresa, I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else. Done a great job. I don't know if you're talking to me, but if you are, thank you. I said I'm behind in. Let's see, I'm 9:38. It's 10:27, and I'm it's about an hour back on this. But I'm trying to get all of. Hey, so Miss Barbara, I'm trying to get everybody. Miss Barbara said not in the state of Missouri. Only the police can ask the FBI to get involved. Yes, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you guys are. It's not. Thank you, Encyclopedia said awesome job, Southern Gal. It's not just me. I'm just bringing you this information to make you. I wanted to bring awareness, especially since I've been getting to know Miss Barbara and Miss Marion, and now Miss Kimberly has been coming to some of my lives for my other cases and got to know them and their stories and this whole Fredericktown thing. So I'm just doing the best I can to bring these to you to the best of my knowledge. I'm so honored to have family members here that trust me to share these stories, and I just hope I'm doing them justice and doing it the right way. And the whole goal is to bring awareness, so to get some more attention to this case, because it is just, if Timmy's case, this is the first one I've dug into of Fredericktown. But if this is what's to come for the other Fredericktown cases, for Durante's case, for Miss Kimberly, and Miss Teresa for her son, whoo, we're going to be in for a wild ride, folks. So buckle up, buckle up. Yeah. Encyclopedia says Miss Barbara, it seems like a local LE has less than stellar abilities. That's an interesting question. Marissa says, with the case being closed, can you request an independent review? I never thought about that. Thank you, Miss Marion. Miss Marion says, thank you all for helping all of the families and getting our stories out there. Absolutely, Miss Marion. That is what we are here for. Not just me, we. I'm losing my voice. I'm going to turn my camera off for 1 minute, but I'm still going to, you should still be able to hear me. I'm going to keep reading comments. Encyclopedia says we have a few missing and unsolved in your area. Oh, refresh my memory. I hope you guys can still hear me. Refresh my memory, Encyclopedia, of where you're at. I'm still learning. Yeah, Miss Barbara's still saying she can prove that they didn't give her all the information. Yeah, I remember Miss Barbara mentioned several times in her interviews that she knows that and can prove that they did not, the information they did give to her, it was not all the information. Oh goodness! Whoa! I almost caused a dumpster fire. The encyclopedia says she means having a review by an uninvolved law LE agency. Yeah, I wonder if a private investigator can take, because I know at one point you did have a private investigator, Miss Barbara. I know Mr. Steve on I don't want to speak for Mr. Steve, but I know he's mentioned Mr. Steve from True Crime Web that he has a private investigator on his team that that goes out when they go out when True Crime Web, Mr. Steve and that team goes out to work on cases that he I believe I've heard him mention that he has a private investigator that works with them. No, I don't know. As far as I don't know a lot about private investigators and what their authority, what they can do. Yeah, Marissa says probably what we're all thinking. They are certainly alleged. I might have to put allegedly in there, Marissa, but I agree with you. They are allegedly hiding something. I pray that you get answers. Yeah, I agree. And the only reason I say allegedly is because on YouTube, if you know, if it's not proven, nobody's been convicted of anything or formally charged. If I don't say alleged, then if somebody, excuse me, connected to the case hears me say that, they can zap me for slander or defamation or something. So I have to say allegedly. But just because I say allegedly does not mean that I necessarily agree with, you know. But I have to say allegedly so I won't get in trouble. Mm. So Miss Barbara said, Timmy, they told Timmy's dad was wasting his money on a PI that they had this under control. Yeah, well, of course they're gonna say that. If you're talking about law enforcement, they wanna keep everything in control, damage control, in my opinion. Allegedly damage control, in my opinion. Mm. Yeah, exactly. Marissa says, clearly it's not under control if the case is closed with no answers. Yep. And I can tell you, Miss Barbara definitely does feel the same. Yeah, I like that. Bunches of red flags. Exactly, encyclopedia. Yep. Miss Teresa says they have many, many, many cases in Southeast Missouri, all the way from St. Louis down to the Arkansas line. Yes, ma'am. I am in central Arkansas, actually, but yes, there are a lot of cases up in that area. Like you said, northern Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, southeast Missouri. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Most definitely. Yeah, I remember Miss Barbara mentioning this. The canine dogs came from a good friend of mine that works for the fire department. Ellie did not help in that search, but where the cadaver dogs hit on the storage unit belonged to a police officer. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that, and when I was listening to. Exactly, encyclopedia says like people in the area would not have noticed the scent of someone that had passed away that close to the house. Yeah, and I can't remember if Miss Barbara ever said that any searches were done in that area, but I do believe, if I'm correct, that it was a law enforcement, actually, a law enforcement search that found his remains in the creek bed. I mean, you would think that the first, because usually when you do a search, just from my understanding, you start from closest to the place where they were last seen and you work your way out. So if he had been there, where 200 yards from the place he was last seen, you would have thought that they would have found him. But apparently, law enforcement didn't. I don't know. Yeah, that's my understanding is, and the logical thing would be, when you do a search, you start closest to the place where the person was last seen, and you work your way out and expand out. So if he was only 200 yards, why didn't they find? I mean, I say I know, but I don't. But I have my suspicions because they didn't look there, or maybe he was not there. Allegedly, this is just my opinion. He probably wasn't there because, and I'm just going on. I'm doing a little bit of speculating and theorizing, because Miss Barbara has said that the one shoe that they found was very clean. If it had been in that, for one, if it was, if a phone, like the law enforcement said, if a phone washed down the creek, then the shoe definitely should have washed down with the phone. And why was the shoe so clean after it had allegedly been out there? If Timmy had been out there for 5 months, why was the shoe not dirty? That's another question, big question, red flag for me too. Yes, Miss Barbara said Jefferson County is where the town that she lived in was, in Jefferson County. That's why she had to make the missing persons report there. But Madison County is, Fredericktown is in Madison County, which is where Timmy went missing. So I guess technically the Madison County was where the missing persons investigation should have been out of. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Mama Ken says Russell Dedeker is a forensic pathologist. He's not even an ME. Gotcha. So this Dedeker, because that name sounds familiar, is that the one that is done a lot of the autopsies in these Fredericktown cases? I could be wrong. I could have the wrong person. I apologize. Yeah, Teresa says there are so many corrupt people down here and bad things that nobody would ever believe it. But this case goes deeper than anyone knows. I believe you, Teresa. Like I said, I live in a very small rural town. What we call down here the good old boy system, and then, like I said, with the prevalence of the substance manufacturing and sale, and a lot of not all law enforcement, not all law enforcement is bad or corrupt, but there are some that are in the back pockets of these substance producers, and they get paid to turn their head. Really? Mama Ken says, and county coroners in Missouri do not have to have any medical or police training. Really? How can you be a coroner and not have any medical training. So am I confused about, is a coroner different from a medical examiner, or is that the same thing? So one thing I've never been clear on is, excuse me, if a coroner is the same as a medical examiner. I came back on. All right, guys, I'm slowly getting through comments. I don't know who even, there's 9 people here. I don't know who's still here, but so Miss Barbara said, I don't know if he won any money on the slot machines, but his debit card was used again at 9:11 in the morning and was failed. I'm assuming it didn't go through. Caleb said he went to a jail at 8:40 in the morning. So who used, if Timmy disappeared, I mean, you would assume that, because Timmy's call was at what, 4:40 in the morning, you would assume that shortly after that, whatever happened, and that he would not be in any condition to use his debit card at 9:11 in the morning. Or it looks like if he did cameras, or because I know if it was an ATM, most ATMs have cameras. Yeah, I didn't know that little bit of information. Thank you, Miss Barbara. Even more. Ooh. But Caleb was arrested like 10:30 in the morning. Risa says, you don't know how bad these goons are. Please be careful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Encyclopedia, I'm assuming you're asking about the debit card use. Was it at ATM or business? Yep. I don't know. I'm sure Miss Barbara knows. Oh, the Sea Barn gas station. So that's where that's the same place, right, where the video footage from very early 1:30 in the morning came from. The last confirmed sighting of Timmy was at the Sea Barn on the surveillance. You're welcome. Teresa says, thank you for helping us to get justice for our children. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. Just to help, help bring awareness and keep their names out there. So so they're not forgotten. See my, get down there so you can see my thing up in the top right, hashtag never forget. Yeah, Mama Ken says if you don't test a body within 48 hours after deceased, you won't get accurate levels for substances. Yeah. And he might not have had, see, that's the question. The only people that have said that Timmy had, was using substances that night are, I'm assuming Caleb, Trevor, and Mike. And apparently, like heard Miss Barbara say in one of her interviews, apparently law enforcement thinks that whatever those 3 say, their word is gospel, and nobody else's opinion matters. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. Teresa says, I'm talking to everyone. You have no clue how bad and corrupt these goons are, the extremes they will go to so they can shut us up about them. They think they are above the law, and they're right. Unfortunately, that is true. Like I said, these manufacturers of substances and sellers, distributors of substances, a lot of them truly do have more power than law enforcement, and it's just a horrible situation. Marissa was running down the timeline. Yeah, that's basically, yeah. Yeah, so 911 call was made at 4:40. Around 4:50, 4:48 to 4:50 was when the I think it was a deputy got there. He was there most likely 10 minutes or less. Arrested Trevor by like 5:01, a little bit after 5. He was out of there. 9/11 attempt made to access Timmy's bank card declined. Caleb arrested around 9:30, 10:30. Yeah. Miss Barbara can answer, but yeah, that's basically for sure the when the 911 call was made and when the deputy arrived and when Trevor was arrested. And then Miss Barbara said around 9/11 was the attempt made to use Timmy's card. And then Caleb was arrested around 9:30, 10:30. Yeah. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Kimberly says she lost connection, but she's back. Good to have you back, Kimberly. I don't know if you're still here. I don't know how far back I'm behind. I'm in the comments. So that's very weird. So Miss Barbara says Timmy's debit card was found in his wallet when he was found, but it was used at 9/11 that morning, which is miles away from where he was. So that, if I can speculate, or I hate to use the word speculate, but to me, that would say that something had happened to Timmy. Somebody may have taken his card, tried to use it. When it failed, they took it back and put it in his pocket. That's the only explanation that would come to my mind. So that's definitely a big red flag right there. Yeah, Miss Barbara says the last time that she talked to Timmy was on the 26th. She didn't talk to him the next day, so the following days she knew something was wrong because it didn't go that long without talking. Absolutely. Yep. So it was that whole weekend because they left on a Friday, right? And then that whole weekend you didn't hear from him, and then Monday, Tuesday is when you said you got the sick feeling in your stomach and knew something was definitely wrong. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Okay, so encyclopedia. Okay, let me. What's my email again? There it is. I'm probably late. That's my email. I'll leave it up because I think it'll stay up if I don't have a. It'll go away when I put the comment up, but it'll come back on. Okay, encyclopedia sent me an email. Thank you. Oh, okay. I'm just getting caught up. Or not caught up. Yeah, Miss Barbara says, why is two of his teeth out and they put one back in and don't document it? I don't understand that. Yeah. Okay, so Timmy was found on the judge's property. Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, because all and everything I read, it just said that he was found on private property. It didn't say who it was, but he was found on judge's property. Wow. Unbelievable. And Miss Barbara says, Timmy got 160 out with his debit card at 1:30 in the morning, and then at 9:11 the card was used 3 more times and failed, but the card was in his wallet when he was found. Yeah, so like I said, that would tell me that, because I don't, unfortunately, I don't think that, I mean, I don't know, but I would think that if it would have been Timmy, and I don't think that Timmy used it, obviously, but if it was at the C bar or wherever you said it was the C barn, it was tried to use C barn gas station. It was tried to be used again at 9/11. They would have definitely. That's where the video footage of Timmy from 1:30 in the morning was from. They would have had. Yeah, did anybody ever look at that footage? If it was at the C barn, where it says, "Did the judge not find him?" Evidently not. It was one of the law enforcement when they finally decided to do a search that found Timmy. I still have questions about it. Yeah, that just. Barbara says the judge would not do anything. The police wouldn't do anything. I have pictures of the judge's wife telling me to go away. I was never ever going to find out what happened to my son. That is. Marissa asks, do you have Timmy's wallet? Miss Barbara says she has pictures of the debit card in his wallet and everything that was in his pocket. Yep, Caleb was in jail for 40 days. Yep, that's Miss Barbara says, in her opinion, Trevor took one for the team and was standing out there after Timmy made the 911 call, so they wouldn't look to see. Yeah, that was my line of thinking too, Miss Barbara. Something to that effect. Yeah, that he was a diversion, possibly, allegedly. I have to say allegedly. You guys can say whatever you want, but I have to say allegedly. But yeah, because it just doesn't make sense. Because he said that or the deputy that came said that when he got there, Trevor was waving his hands and yelling, presumably at Timmy to come back, but unless Timmy had darted off into the woods or whatever, you would have think that if he was. But Trevor said that Timmy was supposedly running down the middle of the road. You would think that the deputy would have seen Timmy. So, and then Trevor changed his story and said that while he was being arrested, that the cop, I'm assuming, maybe Trevor was being handcuffed, and he says that that's when he changed and said that's when he saw Timmy run from behind the building, jump over the fence, and run into the woods, and he tried to get the deputy to turn around and look, and the deputy wouldn't look. So, changing stories. Yep, you knew says a lot. People need more training on how to talk to people. Yeah. Yeah. Miss Barbara says the cases involved the same highway patrol, sheriff, same coroner. Yeah, that's what I've read about all these cases in Fredericktown, Madison County. 8 cases. Wow. Wow. That's a lot. Yep. Kimberly says, thank you all. Absolutely. Thank you. You News says you're doing great info out, Southern Gal. Thank you. I appreciate it. Teresa says she's still here at 10:30. Thank you, my dear. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, You News says right. They'll take you to court. You have to say allegedly. Yeah, that's why I say allegedly. I have to on here because if I, slander, defamation, whatever you call it, I could be sued or zapped or whatever. But like I said, just because I have to say allegedly does not necessarily mean that I agree that I have to say it. So you guys know what I'm saying. Yeah, see that I questioned that too. Miss Barbara said a doctor told me there was no way that he had been in that condition in 5 months. Yeah, like I said, because one of the quotes I think I read somewhere, I heard somewhere about, I don't know if one of the police or the coroner or whatever said that there was absolutely no hair that could be tested for toxicology. But I have seen cases that were skeletal remains that they found years and years later that still had hair. So I mean, I don't understand that. I agree with you too. Miss Barbara says I don't believe he was there the whole time. I'm with you on that. I don't. You can't tell me, and this is just my opinion. Once again, allegedly, you can't tell me that he was only the whole time, that whole 5 months, that he was just 200 feet. I'm assuming behind, or just 200 feet away from where he was last seen, and in a dry creek bed, and nobody saw him. Nobody found his remains. Yeah, I find that very, very, very hard to believe. Oh, everybody's saying they're still here. You knew was still here, Miss Marion. Oh goodness. You're talking about Dedeker. Teresa says every one of them, he does work for 28 counties in Missouri and over in Illinois, and he owns 2 cryogenic labs. Oh. Mm-mm-mm. I bet he could. Marissa, yeah, I know he's out on the road, or we should ask Mr. Steve if he can look at the weather patterns to determine decomp times, and if the rainfall in the area was enough to wash away a phone shoe but not disturb anything else. Yeah. If he had time, he could definitely tell you, because like I said, he was former law enforcement, CSI tech. Yeah, he knows everything. He is the professional when it comes to forensics or CNI. If nobody has ever visited Mr. Steve's channel and Mrs. Steve when she's there, True Crime Web, he does wonderful work. He does a lot of recreations and experiments on how things work within the forensic side. He does A+ work in demonstrations, recreations, experiments. Yeah, Teresa said, but the car did not work, so they did not know the pin. Yeah, you would think that. Yep. So nobody, I'm assuming you're talking about when the card was used. Miss Barbara says, I couldn't get anybody to look at the footage. They tell me it's a misprint, which is unreal because I have a picture of it and it has the same date and it's got Timmy's card on it. Yeah, they have it store. You would think it stores the information somewhere. Yeah. Oh, that is just unreal. So they didn't even look at footage. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Kimberly said he ruled them all self-harm. Once again, I can't say the S word. YouTube will zap me. There are certain words that I can't say, so I have to find creative ways to say stuff. Yeah, he ruled them all self-harm. Yes. Yeah. And isn't if yes, Miss Kimberly, Durante's case, wasn't it ruled self-harm, but yet he was up in the attic, rolled up in a blanket, or and please tell me if I have the right case. I've got so many cases in my head, but yeah, I remember reading that. Yeah, that's a good question. Marissa said the interview passages read earlier indicated possible substance dealings in the house. Could the family put in for a wrongful death suit, even just to get the people that were in the house under oath? I said I don't know. You would assume, but I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not a. I'm not a. I know a little bit about law enforcement, but I'm not. Never been law enforcement. But I just from what I learned from like people like Mr. Steve and other creators that I watch who are former law enforcement. Absolutely. Yep. Miss Barbara says True Crime Web is awesome. Yes, ma'am. Oh, there it goes. Yep. Mr. Steve and Mrs. Steve are two very wonderful people. Yeah, Kimberly, that's the question. Kimberly says, how were they able to transcribe the 911 call without the recording? Yes. Miss Barbara made a very good point about that is if the that they knew, and I don't know, I get they were able to track his phone because from what I understand, he never said where he was. All he said was, my friend is threatening me, but they would have had to have the equipment up to get his ping his phone to find out where he was because they knew where to go out to that 115 Village Drive, whatever that address was. But they didn't have the recording part was not working. I'm still confused. You're welcome once again, Miss Marion. And Teresa says, yes, Mr. Martin was ruled self-harm, but it is, yeah. Like I said, Durante is most likely going to be, I think I finally caught up in comments and we're 3 hours in, so I'm losing my voice. But yes, Durante is most likely going to be my case of the week next week. So I can't go back and thank everybody who was here. I appreciate you guys so much. Please share this video. I'm losing my voice. Share Timmy's story. Get it out there. I'm going to dig in on some of these, start working on these Fredericksburg cases and get those stories out there. Thank you, everybody, once again. Y'all stay. Let me take my banner down. So I'm going to leave you with Timmy and Miss Timmy and Miss Barbara. They're in that picture. I love that picture. Makes me cry. Thank you, everybody. I will see you tomorrow night. I will probably do True Crime After Dark. I know there was Raleigh Strain, unfortunately, or fortunately or unfortunately, they found his body today. So that is, so we'll just talk about some of that. And yeah, everybody get last comments in. I'll do a little bit of shameless plugging. Might have to do it from please hit the like button before you get out of here. Thank you, or if you're watching replay, thank you everybody who's watching replay. Thank you everybody who's here tonight. Everybody that was here, especially Miss Barbara, Miss Marion, Natalie, oh, I'm gonna forget all of them. All the family members, Kimberly, Teresa, Miss Marion, Miss Barbara, Natalie, all the family members and friends of all these victims of Fredericktown. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. You're welcome once again, Miss Barbara. Says thank you for everything you do for our families. It's not just me; it's all the whole community. Yep, shared. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Teresa. Says God bless. God bless. Stay safe. You too. Thank you, Miss Marianne. Thank you all shared. Thank you, Marissa. Says thank you for getting awareness out there. Absolutely. Yep. So like I said, like, share, comment. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. All those things help small channels like mine and the channels that don't cover the big high profile cases. The more likes, comments, shares, it pushes it out to more people. So definitely share, like, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you haven't, if you're new here. You got my contact information. Once again, my email. You can find me on Facebook. I think a lot of you are in my either in my Facebook group now or the other missing persons and cold case Facebook groups that I'm in. I know Miss Barbara is. All right, guys. So I'm going to leave you with Timmy and Miss Barbara. Take care of yourselves. I love all you guys. Thanks for being here, and let's keep Timmy's face and name and case out there. Hopefully, Miss Barbara all the family can get some answers someday. Hopefully soon. I will see you guys tomorrow night, probably around 8:30. Shouldn't be too awful late, but any late nighters or 8:30 Central Time. Just have a true crime after dark. We kind of just talk about anything in the news or whatever we want to talk about, looser format. So I hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.